We're Batman at 89.
Hello, and welcome once again to another week of Batman at 89, the podcast where we analyze and peruse the map of Tim Burton's 1989 Batman film, 1 minute at a time. I am one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
Apparently, I'm another one of the hosts, believe it or not, John Parker.
That was a shocker. I've only found out the other day myself. I was like, what?
That's why I keep turning up.
Yeah. It's like, who is this guy? Why is he here all the time? It's really getting on my nerves now. But and I was like, oh, there you go. It was in the fine print when we signed up to do it. But today on the show, we are meeting our maker, somewhat. We have one of the Movies by Minutes heavyweights, one of the originators of the format, all the way from Star Wars Minutes, Alex Robinson.
Hey everybody, it's me, Alex Robinson.
It's him. It's the guy. You've heard him and other things. Maybe. I don't know if you...
I'd hope so.
Yeah, probably. Most likely, if you're listening to this, you probably started off with Star Wars Minute. So, yeah, thanks for coming, Alex. This is a real honor to have you on the show.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Yeah, anyway, today we're here to talk about Minute 84 of Tim Burton's Batman. Minute 84 begins with a brief shot of Alexander Knox sitting at the microfiche thingy-majig.
You just love saying that, don't you?
I do. I keep, again, we didn't mention it in the last minute, but again, it's an instant Simpsons reference for me of just like, we have periodicals on microfiche.
That is an obscure Simpsons reference. Jeez,
that is,
that's a deep one.
Yeah, deep cuts, man. But and then we end 1 minute later with the Joker coming in from the right in a very abrupt manner.
Oh, and rather appropriately, oh no, hang on, ignore me. I was going to say, rather appropriately, don't we get a shot of a certain actor?
We do. Yeah, we do.
An
very
appropriate
briefly.
one, completely accidental.
Yeah,
Sure.
But sheer coincidence. Yeah, as we start off though, we do get a little brief shot of Knox here. We're saying in the last minute, because I've started to kind of come round to Knox a bit like, oh, well, he wasn't too bad in that scene. But Alex, do you have any strong feelings on Knox in general, or are you just sort of like,
You know, it's funny, up until you mentioned, I didn't even realize that was him in that brief, fourth, not even a second shot of him there. I totally forgot he was in this movie, and no, I don't care for him. I thought he was kind of I don't know whether he was supposed to be obnoxious or funny or like a combination of the two, but I just mostly found him on the obnoxious side. So
yeah.
Well, that's weird. We've discovered that as we've gone through, because we thought the same when we just watched it as a movie. But breaking it down like this, it really, it's like a roller coaster of emotions with Knox. 1 minute you love him, then you hate him again, and you're just back and forth, and you're never quite sure where he lands.
But that bit though, because I think he finally won me over because he cared about a kid watching his parents get gunned down. Then he had a kind of like, can you imagine that? That must really mess up a kid. I was like, oh, he's been nice for like once. He's had a bit of consideration for a man he had no reason to be horrible to earlier. But he wasn't been horrible to him, but he was been like, this rich asshole and rah, rah, rah. But yeah.
He's pretty horrible to every single person he's spoken to so far in the movie.
Yeah. Well, he was willfully trying to antagonize Eckhart / Porkins. William Hootkins. But he did, when he was talking to Eckhart, you could see that he knew, I know I'm getting on this guy's nerves. I know he hates the sight of me. But here I am, and I'm going to ask him some questions, and he's going to have to deal with it. And
do you think that was Tim Burton's intention? Like, is Tim Burton like, oh yeah, this guy's going to be an obnoxious character? Or was he supposed to be kind of a likable, like, gruff guy? Like a wise guy?
I think it might have been a lot of what Robert Wool himself brought to it. I think they might have just worked from that. Because I know in the original scripts and stuff, Knox was a much more kind of dynamic character. Like he did a lot more. He's a bit more heroic, and he's a bit more like a legitimate threat within the love triangle between, like, whereas this movie is just like Joker, Batman, Vicky. in the original script, it was very much like, no, Knox he could legitimately come in here and sort of take on Bruce Wayne as
yeah, but this Knox, no chance. Vicky's not going for him.
What actor would have played the other Knox? Like, would it have been like a leading man type, or would it have been like? It almost seems like in a different world that could have been like Michael Keaton's role.
Yeah.
But I was trying to think. I was like, I know, like Steve Guttenberg, but then Steve Guttenberg's not much of a step up from Robert Wuhl.
Yeah, he's very Wuhl-esque already.
Yeah.
He's a step down, I would say. Jeez.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of who else. Maybe like I was going to say even Alan Ruck. No, he's not sort of dashing enough either, is he? Really?
Yeah, it's got to be someone very sort of classically a bit more handsome. Not that he's an ugly man. I'm not being nasty to him, but you know what I mean. Like more rugged, more manly.
They're gonna come in with like Burt Reynolds or something.
Not that. Yeah, that's too far.
Like, there's got to be a medium between these people, but I can't think of what it is just now.
Yeah, they got Billy D right on set. They should have just used him as the character.
Oh God, that would be good.
Oh, so as we all know, though, Billy D had that prime Two-Face sequel that he was lined up for.
Oh man,
leading up with the feedback, it's like, I'm just biding my time, waiting till I get there.
That was the understanding, wasn't it, that he was coming back, because he was cast specifically because Tim wanted him as Two-Face all along. Tim Burton was like, this guy has to be him, and then we all know how that went, sadly.
Yeah, tragically. But yeah, so from Knox, though, we cut then to Bruce. Like, it kind of makes me laugh, this shot, because he's glaring at the Axis Chemical map, and he's got the big circle drawn around it.
18,000 times he said.
Yeah, but it kind of makes me laugh because it's so, like, and as much as, like, you know, it's taking Vicky and Knox so long to piece together that, like, Bruce Wayne is Batman. This seems to be him, like, I found where the Joker is. And it's like the most obvious place that he could have been. Because
where it all began.
Yeah. And even earlier in the movie, he's all like, well, these chemicals have been tainted at the source. So if you just go through, well, what factories are they all coming through? Or what chemical plants are all sending things in? If you just see Axis Chemical pop up 3 times, he at this point he's obviously like, I know it's Jack Napier. Where else is he? Where else is he going to be? Like, it's not really that this is going to be like, oh my God, finally cracked the code.
He must have been kicking himself.
Yeah, he circled it like, by God, I've got it.
Yeah,
it's here.
It could be. This is because it also looks a bit like one of those, you know, the rings like a coffee cup leaves when you lay it down on a table. And it could be that, like, you know, Alfred's been really bugged by Bruce doing this all this time. And he's like, oh, he never puts it on a coaster. He's always really bugging me with this. And then he's just like, I know that the guy's in Axis Chemicals. He can't figure it out, for Christ's sake. He just got like a coffee cup, and he's just like, a giant coffee cup.
It over.
Yeah, and just put it over the Axis Chemicals. Like, that's where it is right there.
If you look all over the house, Alfred's been putting clues all over the house, hoping that eventually he'll piece it together. Like, you know, let's putting all different access things around the house, chemicals and things like that. So, boy, where would he have access to chemicals like that, huh? That's old Master Bruce.
That'd be amazing. He's the real mastermind. We're onto this. We know the truth.
That's like Bruce coming in and finding like a giant axe put on a table. And he's just like, what's on that table, sir? And I know an axe is.
That's a great idea for like a Batman parody, that like Alfred is really the brains behind the operation, and, you know, Bruce Wayne's out there getting beat up all the time.
I'm surprised I haven't seen a comic book that deals with that side of things.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's coming soon if somebody hears this.
Well, I think we know a man who works in the comic book industry right here. But
yeah. Get writing.
But I know you suggested the idea, Alex, but it's because it's a recording on this show. That's our intellectual property now. So,
right.
Yeah.
Forgot about that clause. The podcast.
Yeah.
We can lease it to you. That's fine.
Yeah, it was part of that huge document we sent you, so you could come on the show.
Oh, I never read the terms of service. Remember that next time.
That's what we hope for. You know, we just send pages and pages. You'd be just like, we want you to sign it and not read the damn thing.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished.
But I will also mention, because we did briefly mention before, that the map of Axis Chemicals, which we saw briefly way back earlier, and this is now we get a lot more emphasized, because there's a friggin' ring drawn around it and everything. That apparently this is actually a map of the Capitol Hill neighborhood of Burnaby, British Columbia. And looking into Burnaby, British Columbia, I found that it was home to an artist named Jack Leonard Shadbolt.
Oh, okay.
Sportscaster Don Taylor. Yeah, don't know him. And then the inventor of the walkie-talkie, Donald Lou Hings. So
I thought his name was going to be. I thought his last name was going to be Walkie. That would have been awesome. Reginald Walkie.
Turns out his name inspired him all along to create that.
Yeah. And then also that because we friggin' covered Axis Chemicals so much, and there's another little tidbit, but we've got Axis Chemicals coming up again when we see what potentially Bruce Wayne is also pondering here as he's looking at it is like, I wonder if I could blow up the whole thing.
And just this Bruce doesn't care about destruction.
No.
Which I know we haven't seen yet, but spoiler alert, it's coming soon. He's gonna go nuts, as he's already said before.
He's like, I didn't get to go nuts when I was really in the mood for it earlier, and now like I've gotta get it out of my system. It's just like it's built up. I was so ready to go to town with that fire poker thing, but.
He looks in no shape to go nuts at the moment, though, does he? He looks exhausted. It's been an all-nighter for him to figure out this Axis thing somehow.
Yeah. Although, again, we don't really know what time of day it is in the Batcave, because this could be like 12 noon. So it's just like, it could have... It must be really, this is like, it's like Al Pacino in... Well, it's actually not like Al Pacino. It's like the exact opposite of Al Pacino in Insomnia, where he has like, he's out in
Close
Alaska
enough.
and it's just a perpetual daylight. So he can't really, when he needs to go to bed, he can't because it's light outside and stuff like that. But this Bruce is just like, I have no idea what freaking time of day it is because I'm just stuck in a dank freaking cave, 23/7 or whatever.
Well, plus, isn't Batman more of a night guy anyway? So wouldn't like nighttime be his like business hours?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's already shown that when he had Vicky come over, because his whole sleep schedule was ruined by having a date. Basically, his whole plan for the evening was thrown into disarray.
So he could be legitimately, tired, because if this is like the same day he was over seeing Vicky earlier, that was in the middle of the day. So this could be like, oh, this is throwing my schedule all out of whack. And because it's like, it's supposed to be like the end of October. So I guess, it would be getting dark early. So it's like, to be there in that bright sunshine in the day, that had to be like between, in the early afternoon, potentially.
He needs to find a lady who works like an ER nurse who works like the overnight shift, someone whose schedule is more compatible with his, like a waitress in a all-night coffee shop or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, why has he never gone for someone like that? That makes 1,000 times more sense than all the women he ends up with throughout all the iterations of Batman.
Well, I mean, as we know, we've talked about throughout, a lot of the Vicky Vale, the pushing and prodding of this is Alfred. Like, when he goes over, Bruce here to talk to Alfred, Alfred's upset with him because he sees this Vicky thing's, his plan's not coming to fruition here. It's all very like, he's still hung up in this Batman thing. And, we'll talk to that when those relevant seconds when we come to them, I guess.
Relevant seconds? Are we breaking it down like that?
Well, I mean, well, it does have a little bit beforehand of like, again, guy can't see the friggin' wood for the trees. Because Alfred's there, he's just like, oh, do you have the file of my parents? Like, it's on your desk, sir. And it's like right next to him. Like, it's right there. It's like, this guy can't figure out the friggin' Axis Chemicals. He can't see the file's right there. It's right in front of him, for Christ's sake.
And yet again, he's made Alfred do things that he should be doing. Like, what are Alfred's connections anyway? Because it seems to be establishing that he sends Alfred away to get information. It's like, where's he getting it? Is he like secretly a mob boss and he's funding the whole operation? That would explain where Bruce is getting the cash in this version, because he doesn't seem to have a business.
Well, we're assuming Wayne Enterprises is here somewhere, but we'll never hear much.
Connected to Alfred's mob, I'm telling you.
Unless Alfred is himself like a super villain, maybe, and this is his day job as Batman's butler, but at night he's like the information king or something. That terrible villain, the Information King.
I need to see that version of this.
It's kind of like what they end up doing with the Riddler. It's just like, yes, he just knows everything. That's his whole thing, because he steals information out of people's heads. And there was like, it was an original draft we had where Alfred was the Information King, but I don't know. Michael Gough didn't look as good in the green leotard, so he switched it up a bit, and turned it into the Riddler.
I could fully imagine him playing the Riddler, I'll be honest. The actor. Yeah. Michael Gough, he could play the Riddler, no problem.
Yeah, it wouldn't be as sprightly, but, it'd be all right.
Yeah. I'll tell you what is impractical, though. That thing they're keeping, I don't even know what to call it, a vault? The thing they're keeping the bat suit in.
Yeah.
Like, why is it seemingly next to a bridge on a cliff face? And also...
Well, where else would a bat live but on a cliff face like that? It's perfect.
Well, true, I suppose. Maybe it's like method acting. He needs to get into the mood of the bat.
Yeah.
But in a hurry, he's not going to be getting into that suit quickly.
No. Well, as we talked about, like, briefly last minute, there was supposed to be a sequence of him changing into the bat suit while he was riding a horse, which was something that was like, I would have wanted to see that scene just for that.
Wait a minute. He gets on a horse as Bruce Wayne and then changes into his Batman. That's like a circus act or something.
Well, it's funny you say that because there is a connection to the circus, is there not, Niall?
Yeah. This is a scene you can see like they did like on the DVD. They did like an animatic, or an animated storyboard of a sequence where it was supposed to have like the origin of Robin, but it starts off where he's left Vicky's apartment after being shot, and he just like zips down from the roof, steals a horse, and then as he's riding after the Joker, Alfred zooms past in a car and it kind of throws him the bat suit. And then the storyboard, it's just like next shot, he's in the bat outfit. And he's riding Joker's tail. And I was like, nah, that wouldn't happen, man. Like, maybe nowadays with Iron Man, where you can do a whole thing, was like, he has an Iron Man suit and a briefcase. And it just attaches himself to him, with loads of CGI and stuff. But
I want to see this Bruce change into that bat suit in this film.
Yeah. That could have been like a really good sequence, though, of him, like... maybe because at this point he's supposed to have like a balaclava on, but there was loads of different things happened during the car chase, and like every time he had to like slip on the glove, and then he'd like have to do something else, and all of a sudden then he has a chance to get on like a boot or something like that. And by the end, he's finally, after 10 minutes of this, he's finally in the Batman outfit.
The fight ends. I'm just frankly skeptical that Alfred could even throw that costume from a car to someone on a horse. Just because that suit's got to weigh like 50 pounds or something,
There's a lot of rubber on it.
Clumsy
Definitely.
and like it's not like all bundled up. It's like throwing like a like a suit.
Well, it's been established that it is basically armor, like a thick. It's better than Kevlar, I think it said in the script there, didn't it, Niall? So I mean, it's got to be heavy. It looks heavy, and no offense to him, he's getting old. Like he hasn't got what he used to have.
Or you're falling for his little disguise there. Maybe that's the information king wants you to think he's old. That's the whole
that
Yoda
old trick.
with his cane.
Oh, it's Yoda all over again.
It's this leading into like the Prestige was like, that guy you thought was like an old Chinese guy was actually like a young magician who was carrying a giant fishbowl between his legs the whole time.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he was actually Yoda. In the Prestige, no?
Maybe I'm trying to hide one of the twists of the Prestige in case anyone hasn't seen it. And if you haven't seen it, you should watch the Prestige because it's great.
But I apologize. There is no Yoda. I'll let that cat out of the bag right now. Don't watch it expecting Yoda. Sorry.
That's exactly what someone would say if they wanted people to be caught off guard. That Yoda shows up.
Ooh, I'm a trickster.
Just in all the midst of Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale, like, which knot did it? I don't remember what knot I tied on the rope. And all of a sudden, just Yoda wandering in, just like whips out a lightsaber and starts jumping around for some reason. It's like, this is, the film was going fine, but I guess this is an improvement, if anything. But to be fair to Alfred and his weightlifting abilities, he is having to haul shut this giant friggin' vault door.
Yeah.
That seems like maybe that's what's keeping him in trim. It's like...
Because that is like a bank vault. Like, he's being a bit too cautious with this suit, considering it's already hidden under about 6 layers of other defenses, including a holographic cave, basically. Like, you can't see the entrance, can you? Yeah. So, he doesn't need this. This poor old man's having to close that damn door. What the hell? Bruce is horrible to him.
Plus, if a villain infiltrated the Batcave... Like, do you really think the suit is the most important thing you have to... Like, why are you putting a behind a vault at that point? Or isn't like the computers and stuff more, or the
all the information and every single other thing in there is probably more valuable.
No, it's the suit. And he must have a dozen of these suits too. So it's not like if this one is gone, he can't be Batman anymore.
Well, I've noted actually on the Batman wiki page, because they seem to be going along with the details of the suit, like all the little bits and bobs. And they seem to be under the impression that it's between movies is when he finally gets a bunch more. Because they're like, oh, he only seems to have one in this movie, and it's in this thing. And then you see in Batman Returns, he does have a whole room full of them.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe this was like the trial, like, oh, I'll see what Batman's like. And then if it's okay, then I'll buy a bunch of more suits.
Did they establish how long he's been Batman at this point?
No, there's no actual dollars and cents sort of like this exact amount of time. But I guess we're supposed to assume it's like early days because it's like he's having to do his whole Bat PR campaign of like, I want you to tell all your friends about me and stuff like that.
So he went to the trouble of building this whole Batcave before he even knew whether he was going to stick it out or not? Like, that seems like you should have done it a couple of times just wearing the suit. Be like, okay, I'll like this. Maybe I should build a Batcave and get special cars and things like that. But he kind of did it the other way around. He got all the gear first. I'm just surprised that he would have built the Batcave first before becoming Batman, as opposed to trying it out and then, like seeing if he liked it before. He was like, oh, you know what? I built that whole cave for nothing. I should live in a belfry or something like that.
That is a heck of a lot of work.
Yeah.
Considering he might change his mind. But then again, I'm kind of impulsive like that. I'll get something in my head like, I'm going to do this crazy new thing. And then 5 minutes later, I've bought loads of equipment. Well, it's a bit like podcasting. And then you're trapped then. So, I guess I've got to go with it now. I've got to be Batman. I've built this cave.
I do know my friend, a mutual friend of me and John. And she went out one time, went to a concert where there was a girl playing a sitar. And she was like, that sitar is amazing. I'm going to buy a sitar, and spent hundreds of pounds buying a sitar. And then I lived with her at this point. Maybe for the next 3 years, all I saw was that sitar gathering dust. Like it never. I think maybe she learned like, Pop Goes the Weasel or something. Like it might have been that
and
level.
Sitar.
Yeah,
that classic Indian raga. Pop Goes the Weasel.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, sitars are used for very strange things. I don't know if I might have mentioned this on the podcast previously, actually, now. So please cut this out if I have. But I used to live, strangely, in Pakistan. And I was at an Afghan restaurant in Pakistan, and there was a guy playing a sitar, and it suddenly dawned on me after a while, like, hang on a minute, he's playing all of the Beatles songs on the sitar while we sit and eat. It's like he knows that we are Western, so he's like, I'm going to play something they know.
Oh. But did he play them in alphabetical order?
Of course. How else would you go through the Beatles catalogue?
Yeah, plug. Now's your chance, Alex. Jump in. Come on.
That's the only way to do it.
Also, while we're still on the topic of Alfred, I thought I should bring up little tidbits, something I found out about him. This is one of these things. Like I've mentioned this a couple of times, in that I've come across information where people have accumulated the potential cast, like people who throughout the development hell that this movie went through. All the people who were allegedly up for the part of Alfred. And some of them I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Some of them I'm like, nah, you're not. This can't be true. But apparently this is up as being, these people apparently were considered for the part. Michael York from Logan, from Logan's Run. Lance Henriksen.
Ooh, that's different.
Yeah, and he's one because at that point, 89, I would be more like, he could do Batman. Like I could imagine him and like the gravelly.
I don't know about that. That's a bit weird.
No, I'd go for that. The gravelly, fierce Lance Henriksen voice coming out of Batman's cowl. I could totally dig that. Also got Richard O'Brien.
Oh,
yeah, Rocky Horror Show. Wallace Shawn from The Princess Bride, which is inconceivable now, quite literally.
I don't know. I think I could picture that. It'd be a very different character, but he could be the butler.
It'd be different. It'd be a different take, but I'd like it.
Yeah, it's like, Miss Vale is called for you, Master Wayne. That's my best Wallace Shawn right there.
That was pretty good. Better than mine. I'll let it slide.
One I absolutely love, and I'm kind of disappointed it didn't happen. Ricardo Montalban.
Oh,
Which would have been amazing. I would totally have loved a Ricardo Montalban Alfred. Just talking about which, who is superior, like the Joker or Batman.
well, we know the answers to that. Come on, it's Batman. It's his movie.
And then down to one. This is the one I was like, nah, this didn't happen. Someone's put up, apparently, in consideration for Alfred, Kevin Pollak.
Ooh.
Which is just like, I did the math. Kevin Pollak would have been 32 at this point in his life. So, not too...
younger than Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. It's like, not too sure what kind of notion there... Maybe this might have been like Tim Burton just one morning on his dictaphone, just like, I'm thinking maybe... I saw that Kevin Pollak guy doing stand-up last night. He might, I'm trying to get him in the movie somewhere. Maybe Alfred. And then just like...
He would have been more like a personal assistant than a butler.
Yeah.
I was going to say, this Alfred does everything. Like, he literally makes him do every minor little thing. He's more than a butler. He's not even a dad. He's like a carer more than anything, isn't he? He just looks after every aspect of Bruce's life. He even listens to his answer machine messages for him.
And then, of course, aptly that you're here, Alex, because apparently one of the people... considered for Alfred was Anthony Daniels, Golden Tony.
Huh.
So that I can totally see that. I don't know if I could imagine him doing like because obviously to pretty much the entire world, Anthony Daniels is just C-3PO, and we've not seen him try to be like fatherly to anyone or having to do. He's usually the comedic beat in an emotional scene. You can't imagine him actually delivering something like Alfred's about to say of the whole, I'm not in the practice of mourning old friends and their sons. Like, I can't imagine, like, oh, Master Bruce, I'm not in the interest in spending my few remaining years. Like, that doesn't really... I can imagine him doing it, but it wouldn't have the same, punch that it's supposed to have.
He's a proper actor, though. He can pull that off if he needs to. If he needs to pull a different style out of the bag, he can do it.
Yeah, I just keep getting like images of like every time like, oh, Alfred, the Joker's just attacked City Hall. I've got to get there right away, and just like closing in and Alfred's face like, oh my, and like things like that. Star wipe, or not star wipe, but side wipe.
I would love to see Golden Tony in a dramatic role. I wonder if it could. I'm always curious to see people like getting to do something outside their comfort zone. And like you said, for most, I'm looking at his IMDb page, and like 90% of it is voicing C-3PO in various Star Wars projects. But it looks like he's done a couple of side things. So I'd be very curious to see him in a non-C-3PO role.
Yeah, because I only know him as 3PO as well. I mean, I don't think I've seen him in anything else. And it doesn't help in that aspect that he will do anything to do with Star Wars. Yeah. Like, if they ring him up and say, can you do this ad? Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay, fine.
It's like
he just does anything.
He is the voice of C-3PO.
Yeah. It's kind of like, he's got that stage of, it's like particularly like in the UK, where we have like soap opera actors, but there's people who have been doing, like William Roach, the guy who does Ken Barlow over here in Coronation Street. Of course, is the father of Linus Roach, who was Bruce Wayne's dad in Batman Begins.
Everything's connected.
Yeah, but I think I brought that up before because that's one of my go-to icebreaker bits of like, oh, hey, did you know that...
And like two people cared.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's how you know who to talk to. Whoever cares. You're like, that's the person I'm going to be friends with.
But yeah, because he's been doing Ken Barlow since like the 1960s. So him coming in now is just like, it's barely work. It's like just learning lines, and it's like, he's so just one with the character. There's no like, oh, I have to get into the mindset. It's just like, I'm there already. It's just, there's no barrier anymore. I am this person. We're just symbiotically connected. Like, I imagine that's just, Anthony Daniels is just like, it mightn't even be a problem getting into the suit because it's just like, I just slip this thing on now.
Well, you say that though until he gets his head put on a different droid, of course, which happens sometimes. Yeah, unfortunately, happens to us all.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is a bit of a drag, but
anyway, Batman.
Yeah.
You've mentioned this line, Niall, but you kind of glossed over it. I thought it was a very moving line. Because Alfred responds to Bruce with he's got some great lines in this movie. And he says, I have no wish to fill my few remaining years grieving for the loss of old friends or their sons.
Yeah.
And I thought that was great because Bruce, he does stop for a second to take that in. Like, I think he genuinely feels for Alfred now. Like, he knows he has to be Batman, but he doesn't want to upset Alfred and let him down. Like, he won't be swayed, but it is hurting him to hurt Alfred as well.
Yeah, yeah. I think it is like the fruition of, we've been kind of, comedically exaggerating how much Alfred's been pushing Vicky Vale on Bruce, but he has been kind of doing it anyway. And Bruce has addressed it with him in that whole, like, Alfred brought her up, and he's like, oh, maybe you could tell her. And then, Bruce had that line of like, Alfred, why don't you marry her? Like, kind of joking about. But at this point now, it seems like, because, he's been shot and everything's going a bit crazy with this Joker guy. And this seems like Alfred is upset of like, look, I'm trying to get you hooked up with this woman so you'll stop this whole thing. And now it's just like him having to say like I don't want you to. It's basically him saying like I'm not, I'm supporting you by doing what you tell me to do, but I don't approve of this whole thing. And because Bruce knows he's been trying to hook him up with Vicky Vale, he does have a moment of like, I didn't realize that he's just not. Yeah, he's worried for me, and maybe he's just a bit of I've alienated Alfred now as well. This is getting bad and stuff.
See, I thought he was responding to the sort of backhanded insult that Alfred gives him, because he's like, "Oh, I have no wish to spend my last years mourning lost friends or their sons." So, in other words, I was friends with your father, but you're just my friend's son. We're not friends. I'm just here because I was friends with your father.
So like doing him a favor.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I'm kind of. Oh, wait, no, I think Alfred's a dick now. This is like ruined the whole thing.
You've ruined Alfred. God damn it.
Well, he's got to be
favorite character.
It's got to be kind of a weird thing if you're a butler to be like, "Oh, great, I got this great job as a butler. Wait a minute, I have to help you dress up as a rubber bat to fight criminals." Like what? Like I'm supposed to be just handing out tea and crumpets, not
and he
finding
seems
out
to be
where
very
the
into
Joker
his
lives.
tea.
Yeah.
I guess because we don't really get any. I think Batman Returns, there's no real emotional moments with Alfred. I think the last of them, you do see him in the ending scene, but you don't really get much more of him and Bruce one-on-one in this movie. I think the next time they have a kind of moment of like, just them kind of talking about things. It's like there is a bit in Batman Forever where Bruce is recovering from a wound, and him and Alfred have a little like, oh, we're old. Like, I'm kind of like your father and stuff like that. And of course, Batman Robin, when it's just like Alfred's literally dying and George Clooney's just gurning it up, and it's like, oh, you'll be fine, old man, and just smiling while this guy's withering away in a bed right in front of him. It's like,
not Clooney's finest hour, but we'll get there. Save it.
Yeah, but so I guess if you were to interpret it that way, of like this is a little insult, it's like, they don't make up about this until 2 movies time.
That's why George Clooney's so blasé. He's like, "Yeah, well, man, all right, now who's mourning the loss of their friends?" Huh?
Rubbing salt into the wound.
So he needs to get that cure from Mr. Freeze. Alfred's out doing the work for him. He's like, "I think he's in the snow cone factory, sir." Like, yeah, maybe I'll go there tomorrow. It's been a matter of urgency, sir. Is it?
My whole world has been torn apart by learning this information. I don't even know what to do anymore. Gee. I think we'll have to wrap up the show now, once again.
So the whole thing was Alfred Minute. That was the only reason we were doing the show, was to talk about how great Michael Goff was the whole time. But even though we only really mentioned him in about like 6 episodes or something. So.
That would be a great minute show, is to like pick a character and you only do minutes that have that beloved character in it. Like Q minute, where you just do all the James Bond movies, but only the moments that Q are in. So you just get to talk about cool technology and stuff without all those action scenes and stuff.
I think you've just given someone a great idea. Whoever's listening, that's going to be coming out soon, surely. Come on, make it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you own the rights to it now, since I said it on your show.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Yeah, you need to get in touch with us first. I mean, I do know. That's been established.
When I was on with the Matrix guys, we were just talking about Joe Pantoliano, or Joey Pants, as I always call him. Cypher in the movie, and but I was just like, I love him. I love everything he's in. I love when I see him in movies. I wish I could do like a Joey Pants minute of just like
totally.
Going through all his. It's like, coming up next, robot in the family. Hey, Joey Pants is in it. Gotta do it.
Well, that's our hiatus project sorted then now. Yeah. Very little connection to Batman, but never mind.
He worked in Memento with Chris Nolan, I guess. So
There you
it's
go.
like, oh, there you
Everything's
go.
connected.
That's good enough for me.
Totally.
Well, back in the minute, Bruce, as I say, he ponders what Alfred has said, and it lingers on his lips one more time, as this movie does every 10 seconds. And then we cut to a shot outside of City Hall. And a lot seems to happen at City Hall in Gotham. Now, I don't know if this is a Gotham thing or if it's an American thing, because here, I mean, it's called a town hall here, but nothing happens. Like, nobody ever goes to the town hall. You avoid going there.
Unfortunately, we're going to have to just sort of, realize it'll really become obvious during the parade scene, but the somewhat limited scope of Gotham City in this film, where it does seem like it's based around like maybe 2 streets, because it's constantly seeing the Monarch Theater, constantly seeing the Flugelheim, constantly seeing City Hall, and that John T. Gotham statue. They're pretty much in every time you go downtown. That's where you're going to be. It's going to be in that corner of the street, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's largely a budget thing, because it was already such an expensive movie. It's probably like a logical way of cutting the costs a little bit, isn't it? Like, well, we'll edit the script slightly, because as you see throughout the different drafts, scenes are jettisoned left and right. Like, whole characters disappear. Robin, as we've mentioned in previous minutes. So again, it makes sense if you want to streamline it and save what you can, base it around a couple of key locations and just go from there.
I do love this this establishing shot, because it's a bit similar to one we had earlier when we were coming out of City Hall a while back. But this looks different enough. Plus, it looks even more hellish. Like, it's a real twisted, industrial, steamy. It just looks like
Metropolis.
Yeah, it looks just really.
I mean, the movie, not the Superman.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks just really grimy as well. It just looks like this isn't a pleasant place to live at all.
And that's the City Hall too. Like, this looks like the back of this looks like the servants' entrance of a big hotel or something. They look like they're in an alleyway. I guess it is Batman. So.
It actually, I hadn't thought of this. I'm assuming it's because you're on the show, Alex, but if you take a small snippet of it, it reminds me of Darth Vader's castle in Rogue One.
Oh, totally, yeah.
Beyond that, we get a brief, the Borg leaving his castle, and followed by a very dapper Commissioner Gordon, rocking a bow tie.
He looks dapper, but he's still lame as hell. It doesn't matter how he dresses himself up. This Gordon is just a waste of space.
Not a big fan.
Oh, no, he does nothing throughout this movie. He has one scene where he's good, and the rest of it is just completely ineffective. He doesn't do anything. They finally got him right later on, but this almost kills the character, this guy. Let me tell you.
Well, I think he manages to not kill the character because you don't remember the character. It's like
there's
nothing to kill. So it's like, well, I barely remember that he was in that movie.
Well, that's the thing. Let me say, it's not the actor. The actor's fine. He's doing what he's told to do. It's the part. It's just there's no point in even being here in the film.
Yeah. I will. I have to wonder why he's so. I'd always question as to why a man with jowls like that would choose a bow tie, because it's so restrictive. It's like, why would you want to wear that? So, but he's looking, it's nice. It's a nice suit. He's obviously like, I'm going to be on TV. Got to get dressed up. And then there's a guy behind him wearing like some kind of weird military coat that also then has a random flap of leather attached to it.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure what's going on with that guy.
Because it's only on one side. That's what I don't understand. If it was on both sides of the coat, I could kind of get it. There's a jacket called a donkey jacket that has like leather patches on the shoulders there.
Yeah.
But he's only got it on one, which just confuses me.
I'm wondering if it's supposed to be like, those kind of military tunics where you can kind of fold, like you see like Kirk has in, the Star Trek movies. I think it's pretty much everyone. Eventually, the flap will fall open. It's definitely after Wrath of Khan. He definitely has the red tunic thing, and it's always always fun. So it might be something like that. Maybe you're supposed to he can attach a button to his other shoulder, and it's more like a military tunic thing. But then I don't know. I don't know if that would work though. It's kind of like they had the costume half made, and they're going to do something else, and they're like, "Oh, we're shooting today. Oh, you better get out there."
Just go for it. Go for it. Despite that, though, I mean, these guys are all looking pretty cool. As the kids say, squad goals.
Yeah.
You know?
The thing is, though, like, beyond that, looking effortlessly, cool, because of course he does. There's William December Williams just strutting on
The
down.
man himself.
Yeah, still rocking that the red rose on the one side, as if it's some kind of foreshadowing of what's gonna happen on that one side of his face.
Oh, you think they should have had it on both sides to represent the that he was going to eventually become Two-Face, one on either side of his.
Oh, different colors as well. That would have been good. But at least it's refreshing to see him wearing his own clothes and not the clothes of a close friend that he's stolen them.
Although, still slightly disappointed, no cape. I mean, you're in a movie, you're in a Batman movie. Yeah, capes exist in this world. You can get away with it.
I reckon he just goes around in real life with a cape. I mean, I would if I was him. Why not?
Totally.
Screw
If
it.
you can pull it off, do it.
Oh, I'm very much looking forward to, because I think I've insisted on her through Twitter that the former guest of the show, Dale Kingsmill, recently did, because she's a YouTuber, recently did a kind of fashion video, which was like kind of a new thing for her. She doesn't usually do that, and she was just all rocking usual things like, oh, these are jeans I bought, and here's a shirt, and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, right on. And then at the end, she's like, yeah, and I forked out like quite a bit of money for this cape. And it's a proper,
Yes.
like a proper cape, like not like a superhero cape, like one you would have worn back in the day. And she's like, yeah, I'm wearing this cape now. And I had to get in touch with her, like, you're going to have to field all cape questions for the remainder of the Batman podcast. And of course, you're going to be getting a very cape-centric minute or series of minutes the next time you show up. So,
Hey. But is it a long cape or is it a Lando length cape?
It's
'Cause
a
that's
Lando
a very
length.
interesting little cape. Oh,
Yeah,
it is a
it's-
Lando one. Okay.
yeah, I think it's down to the waist level. Or, I think it's around that level. I think
Okay,
it's,
okay.
yeah, I don't know, because the full length one, I think that'd be a bit impractical, particularly too because she lives in Australia. I mean, it's freaking warm enough over there. So we can forgive her for not going for that.
Well, these guys coming out again, of course, they seem to be calling a press conference, which also seems to happen every 5 minutes in Gotham. No matter what incident occurs in this city, it's like, let's call a press conference. I know there's no internet, but still, do you need a press conference for every single thing that happens?
It's a very reluctant one as well. Like, he doesn't. Well, of course, we'll cover next week exactly why he looks so forlorn about what he's about to announce. But like,
Because all we get in this is the Borg himself there saying the 200th,
yep.
and then it ends, unfortunately.
Yeah, we do get a brief thing of the Joker appearing from the side, so swiping in, but then we cut off, and that's the end of that chapter. But,
Could you guys already talk about the mayor here?
well, we've touched on him in the past, but if you have anything you want to say about Mayor Borg, by all means, have at it.
Well, I just wasn't sure if you guys living abroad. I guess to you, you're living at home. To me, you're living abroad, and I don't know if this is the actor is a splitting image of the real mayor of New York for a long time, Ed Koch. Did you guys already talk about that?
Yeah, I think we had pretty much had to have the same intro as you had to give there. Of like, we don't really know who this guy is.
Never mind that.
But apparently, yeah, he looks like. But you can verify that indeed he does. That it's like,
There you go. Yeah, there's proof.
Yeah, there you go. Former New Yorker. I can testify that this is a fairly accurate depiction of Ed Koch. So,
yeah, good stuff.
There you
Although it's like when we had Scott Corelli on, and we're just like, apparently the flag of Gotham is just the state flag of Indiana, and he's like, yes, I live in Indiana. I'm telling you right now, that's just the state flag, and they just stitched Gotham onto it. I was like,
That's really the only reason we get you guys on, is just to confirm these things, because we don't know what we're talking
American
about.
details. Yeah, fair enough.
That's why Scott gets us on his show to ask us about British things in Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah. So many things that we went over time with him. I was just like, I meant to ask him if he ever tried Weetabix. I was like, oh, because I think I didn't sell it to him properly, because I was just like, oh yeah, you get like 2 bricks of it, and you pour some milk on it, and you put it in the microwave for a minute, and it comes out as this fantastic goop. And he was just like, okay, like really sort of like, that doesn't sound that good. I was like, no, well, I'm talking to you in person. I'll really pitch it a lot better. And tragically, I forgot to. So, oh well.
Well, I mean, that's all the notes I have for the minute. Have you guys got anything before because I'll ask a question.
Note-wise, the action in a minute. No, I'm out.
Nothing particular this minute.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, we like to ask all of our guests, though, Alex, about their history with Batman, with this movie, or the franchise as a whole. Think like if they remember seeing this in theaters or anything like that. So, yeah, what's your history with Batman?
Well, I read superhero comics when I was a kid, so of course I'm familiar with the character and watched the Adam West TV show. I never really read Batman comics too much.
Oh,
I was more of a Marvel guy, so.
Controversial here. No, we don't care really.
Yeah, I think Dark Knight was really the only real Batman book that I read. The original Frank Miller one. But I definitely remember seeing this movie because I went to go see it on for my then girlfriend's prom. This came out the day of her prom. And so we went to the prom and then went to like a midnight showing or whatever of this particular Batman movie. So always be burned into my memory. Oh. There you go. Yeah. Great story, huh?
No, it was good information. That's cool. Because it's difficult for us to know. I mean, we look at it in retrospect now because, I mean, I'm as of recording, I am 31. So I didn't get to see it in the cinema, in the theater. So I have to look back on it now and see the hype and excitement for that people had for it. So it's interesting to get some accounts from people who actually were there and could experience Batman firsthand. Because I mean, I didn't see it till a few years later on VHS. Alex, was it everywhere? Because that's what we're led to believe. Basically, when you look back at it now, you're told, Batmania, as Niall said, it was everywhere. You couldn't escape it.
It was very huge. Yeah, I think it was really the first of like the superhero, like a first of the new, I guess what would become the new reign of superheroes. Because I can't even think of
rescued it from Superman 4.
Yeah. So I think it was quite. I mean, it was a big deal movie wise, but also like merchandising wise, it was. Because there was a boon of stuff. I remember it because being a comic book person, like around that time, I got a lot of Batman gifts from people who, like my parents, like, oh, you like comics? Here, I got you a Joker shirt. And I'm like, well, I'm not really that into Batman, but
that's a very parent thing to do.
Yeah, exactly. So, and there was a lot of that stuff around. So, it was really big. And I think also having Jack Nicholson in it. And having Tim Burton, who at that point was kind of on a hot streak with doing a lot of good movies and such. So,
which continued for a while after this.
Yeah, this is before Johnny Depp they became a symbiotic creature that made terrible movies with each other. But
they start off good.
Oh yeah, so Ed Wood is one of my all-time. Is definitely my all-time favorite Tim Burton movie. But
good choice.
But the last dozen or so have been kind of.
I think it's like Tim Burton's just like late '80s, '90s, gold. It's all gold, and then for some reason when he hits 2000, it's just like, this has got patchy. Like it's really like, I think it's maybe like Big Fish and then Big Eyes. That's it. That's the post 2000. I guess Corpse Bride as well. If you want to be strict with it.
Yeah, but I mean that's okay. But yeah, I want to see him come back to Batman now. That would be interesting. Can he do it? Can he recreate this atmosphere, this vibe, this type of film?
Weirdly, I think if he did it now, it would be closer to like the Joel Schumacher Batman. Like I feel like his stuff.
I could see that. Yeah.
His stuff has gotten so like baroque and like borderline campy and such that. Although I think we're due for the pendulum to tilt back away from gritty superhero movies. We need to go more back towards the Adam West, like a more lighthearted version of it. But
I will say, like, because as of recording, this is the week that Justice League came out. Have either of you two guys watched it yet?
No, not yet. No.
Yeah, because I went to it, and I will say it's the pendulum swinging back because it is a lot. It's a lot lighter.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
But particularly a lot lighter than Batman versus Superman, and the portrayal of Batman in it is like quite like Yeah, he's not as dour as he was the last time we saw him. He's a bit more. Well, I'm sure like the DC Cinematic Minute guys will get to that eventually, but
in years to come.
Yeah. Well, like, those guys don't quit. They're just like, well, we're done with that movie. Right, we're starting the next movie. It's like, Jesus, calm down, guys. Jesus, you can take a break. Take a week to yourselves for God's sake.
Fully endorse having a rest.
Totally.
Yeah.
Which we're going to have to do now. We're going to have a rest on this Friday evening, and come back on Monday. That just does it for this minute. Yeah.
So, Alex, is there anything you want to plug while you're here? Who are you? What's your deal? Why are you here?
Well, I mean, as we've mentioned, I am on the Star Wars Minute podcast. We've recently, I don't know when this is going to air, but we've started our coverage of Revenge of the Sith, so check that out at StarWarsMinute.com. I also co-host the Godfather Minute with my brother. Well, that's only one episode a week, so we're going to be doing that for a long time to come.
Whoa.
Yeah, long time. So I know you're like a Revenge of the Sith fan. I know Pete's not as enthusiastic about it, but I'm not too sure. Maybe at this point in recording of the show, you're just like, no, I'm not anymore. But
well, I would say, fan might be overstating it. It's my favorite one of the prequels, but like,
yeah. But it's just I feel like I'm kind of waiting for you to get to the point of like what I imagine Ian McDiarmid was waiting for since like he was told he's coming back as Palpatine, of this kind of like, just wait, because you don't get to do much now. But eventually, you're going to get to go fucking crazy and just, like, have the time of your life, and it's going to be amazing. Yeah. So that's the whole thing. Watching the prequels, this is like, any minute now, Palpatine's going to be unleashed. It's going to make up for all of this. It's like, I don't care about the quality of the rest of the movie. As long as he's on screen, I'm happy.
It almost makes up for it. Let me say. Almost, which is a great thing to say. But listeners, if somehow you have not heard Star Wars Minute, or Godfather Minute, in fact, go and check those out. Great shows. Obviously, Star Wars, the originator of this format. So yes, listen to them and check us out online. We are on Facebook at the Batminute89 Listeners Society, and you can tweet us at Batminute89, and we're also on Instagram as well. So send us a message on any of them, and make sure to review us on iTunes, because we will love you forever and ever and ever. And join us again on Monday, because we will be back with more. We will have minute 85 of Batman.
Next time, a brawl of broadcasts. As Mayor Borg admits resistance is futile, what other party pooping plans will our putrid... Oh boy. Our putrid Punchinello unpack on Gotham's petrified precincts? Find out next week. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.